The office was eerily quiet, the kind of quiet that made every tick of the clock louder than usual. My heels clicked softly against the polished floor as I carried a stack of reports toward the conference room. Most of the office had left hours ago, leaving only the hum of fluorescent lights and the faint buzz of computers. I wasn't supposed to be here this late, but deadlines had a way of bending your sense of time, and apparently your boundaries too. I looked up and caught him leaning casually against the doorway. Daniel, my coworker. Handsome, charming, infuriatingly aware of the effect he had on people.
Especially me.
You're still here? He asked, voice low, teasing but not unkind. I set the papers down, trying to act nonchalant. Deadlines don't care about the time, Daniel. He smirked, stepping closer, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. The air between us suddenly felt charged, like the moment right before a storm breaks. I could help you, he offered. If you want. I hesitated, aware of the thrill coursing through me. Working late together had always been fine, professional even, but tonight there was a difference. Tonight, every glance, every brush of his hand against mine seemed electric. As we spread the papers across the table, our hands brushed more than once. Each accidental touch made my pulse spike. I wanted to pull away, I really did. But something in the way he looked at me, a mixture of desire and curiosity, made me hesitate. You look tense, he said softly, leaning close enough that I could smell the faint scent of his cologne. Maybe you need a break. Before I could respond, he gently brushed a strand of hair from my face. My breath caught, and I realized with both excitement and fear that I wanted him closer. So much closer. Our conversation shifted, becoming softer, more personal. Confessions slipped out, small things at first, like frustrations at work, then deeper admissions, desires I hadn't shared with anyone. His voice was warm, intimate, and each word seemed to pull me further into a world where nothing existed but him and me. And then, almost without warning, our lips met. Hesitant at first, testing the waters, then more demanding, more insistent. The office, the papers, the deadlines, all of it faded into nothingness. The kiss deepened, hands exploring, the tension between us unraveling into pure, undeniable heat. Every brush of his fingertips sent shivers across my skin. Every whispered word between kisses made my heart race faster. The night outside had grown darker, but inside that conference room, time seemed suspended, governed only by our desire. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. I had no idea. But eventually, we pulled back, breathless, flushed, yet aware that nothing would ever be the same again. The connection we had forged in the quiet of the night had changed everything. As dawn crept over the city skyline, I realized that what started as a simple late-night work session had become a night I would never forget. A night where boundaries blurred, confessions were shared, and desire became something deeper than I had ever imagined. And as we exchanged one last lingering glance before leaving, I knew this was just the beginning of something passionate, something intense, and something that would stay with me forever. After that first kiss, the air between us was charged in a way I couldn't ignore. My heart was still pounding, my fingers tingling from where his hand had grazed mine. Daniel leaned back slightly, his eyes dark with desire, but there was also something softer there, a curiosity, a vulnerability that mirrored my own. Are you okay? He asked, his voice low, almost hesitant. I swallowed hard, my throat dry, and nodded. I think so. My voice was shaky, betraying the heat and longing I was trying to hide. He took a step closer, closing the gap between us again. Good, he whispered, letting his hand brush mine again, lingering just a moment longer than necessary. Because I don't want this to stop. Something in him, the confidence mixed with subtle restraint, drew me in completely. I found myself stepping toward him without thinking, letting my hand rest against his chest. I could feel the steady thrum of his heartbeat beneath my palm, fast but controlled, echoing the storm of desire inside me. I don't usually do this, I admitted, my voice barely audible. I mean stay late and, He chuckled softly, a low, rumbling sound that made my knees weaken. Neither do I. But maybe some nights are exceptions. The tension that had been simmering all night ignited into something undeniable. Our lips met again, this time with a hunger that startled me. My hands moved up into his hair, pulling him closer, and his hands roamed my waist, drawing me impossibly near. The heat between us was almost unbearable. Minutes, or maybe hours, passed like seconds as we explored each other's presence, each touch stoking a fire that seemed impossible to contain. The office, the reports, the deadlines, they didn't exist anymore. There was only him, only me, only the intimate connection that had blossomed from a quiet confession in the dead of night. When we finally pulled back, gasping and flushed, I realized my shirt was slightly askew and his tie was loosened. Neither of us seemed to care. "You're incredible," he whispered, brushing a thumb over my lips. "And I mean more than this." He gestured vaguely, indicating the heat, the passion, the undeniable chemistry. I've never felt anything like this before. I felt a warmth spread through me, deeper than desire. "Neither have I admitted, my voice trembling slightly. It's intense. Too intense to ignore." For a moment, we just stood there, holding each other, letting the silence speak the words neither of us could say aloud. Then, slowly, deliberately, he pulled me toward the plush chairs near the conference room window. The city lights outside glimmered like stars, reflecting our flushed faces, our unspoken yearning. As we sank into the chair together, our lips met again, softer this time, more exploratory, letting us feel the depth of our emotions as much as the fire of our desire. My hands trailed over his chest, down his arms, and he mirrored every movement, as if we were discovering each other for the first time, every touch igniting new sparks. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. I had lost all track of time. All I knew was that with every whispered confession, every lingering kiss, every soft caress, I was falling further into something I hadn't expected. Not just lust, but something far more profound. Something intimate, raw, and impossibly real. By the time the first rays of dawn crept across the office floor, we were entwined in each other's arms, a tangled mess of passion and emotion. Our breaths were heavy, our skin flushed, but our hearts, both of them, felt astonishingly aligned. Daniel pressed his forehead to mine and whispered, "This, what we have tonight, it's more than just a moment. Don't you feel it?" I nodded, unable to form words, letting my lips brush his in a soft, lingering kiss that promised more passion, more intimacy, more connection than either of us had ever imagined. And I knew then, as the city awakened outside the glass walls, that our late-night confessions had sparked something unstoppable. Something that wouldn't fade with the morning light. Something that would burn, beautifully and endlessly, between us. By mid-morning, the office had emptied completely. The hum of computers and the flicker of fluorescent lights now seemed almost intimate, like the room itself was holding its breath for us. Daniel and I still lingered near the window, our bodies close, fingers entwined. "I never expected this," I admitted softly, leaning into his shoulder. "I thought tonight would just be another long, boring work session." He chuckled, his breath warm against my ear. "Neither did I. But I'm glad it isn't." A quiet moment settled over us, heavy with unspoken thoughts. My pulse was still racing, and the heat from our night together lingered like a secret imprint on my skin. I realized something startling. I wanted more than just this one night. I wanted to know him, really know him, beyond the rush of desire. Daniel tilted his head, catching my gaze. "You don't have to say anything," he murmured. "I feel it too." That admission sent a shiver down my spine. Desire was one thing, but this shared acknowledgement of connection was far more intoxicating. I reached up, brushing my fingers through his hair, feeling the tension in him ease under my touch. "Do you want to continue this?" I asked, my voice trembling with a mix of hope and apprehension. He smiled, that slow, irresistible grin that always left me weak in the knees. "I've wanted to continue this since the moment we started talking." We spent the next few hours in a haze of stolen touches, whispered confessions, and teasing glances. Every time our hands met, sparks ignited. Every brush of lips against skin sent shivers of pleasure running through me. Our chemistry was magnetic, pulling us together in ways I couldn't resist. At one point, we found ourselves standing close to the large conference room table, papers long forgotten. Daniel's hands traced the curve of my waist as mine explored the lines of his chest. We paused only to look at each other, catching our breath, our eyes communicating desires words could never fully express. "You're irresistible," he murmured, his lips brushing my neck, sending jolts of warmth through me. I laughed softly, a breathless, happy sound. I could say the same about you. And just like that, the boundaries that had once seemed so firm melted away. The office transformed into our private world, a place where longing, passion, and connection ruled, and nothing else mattered. Time became meaningless. Minutes, hours, they all blurred together in a haze of intimate touches, stolen kisses, and the electric thrill of being completely open with someone else. Each moment deepened the bond between us, making the heat of desire feel inseparable from the tenderness growing alongside it. By late afternoon, when sunlight began spilling through the blinds, we were entwined on the plush chairs by the window, our bodies pressed together, hearts racing in sync. Daniel looked into my eyes, and in that gaze, I saw everything I'd been feeling mirrored back at me: desire, affection, vulnerability, and a shared excitement about what this connection could become. "I don't want this night to end," I whispered, resting my head against his shoulder. "It doesn't have to," he replied softly, brushing a gentle kiss over my temple. "Not if we don't let it." For the first time in a long time, I felt completely alive, seen, desired, and understood. Our night of confessions had blossomed into something far greater than either of us had imagined. And as I nestled closer to him, I knew this was only the beginning of a story that would be written together, one passionate, tender, and unforgettable moment at a time. The next few days at work were a delicate balance of normalcy and hidden desire. We returned to our usual routines, attending meetings and answering emails as though nothing had happened, yet the memory of that night lingered like a secret between us. Every glance, every accidental brush of hands, carried a silent promise, a spark that neither of us could ignore. By Thursday evening, the office was nearly empty again. I lingered at my desk, pretending to finish a report, though my thoughts were far from deadlines. Daniel appeared at the doorway, his usual confident grin in place, but there was something softer in his eyes tonight. "Working late again?" he asked, stepping inside. "I could ask you the same," I teased, my heart fluttering as he closed the distance between us. "I wanted to see you," he said simply, and the way he said it made my stomach twist with anticipation. We settled in near the conference room table, papers spread out, but work quickly became secondary. Small touches, a hand brushing my arm, his knee lightly touching mine, sent shivers down my spine. Each glance held a promise, each smile a silent confession. "You've been on my mind," he admitted quietly, leaning close enough that I could feel the warmth of his breath on my cheek. Since that night, I swallowed hard, my pulse racing. "Me too," I whispered. That admission seemed to break an invisible dam between us. Our lips met again, this time with a slow, deliberate intensity. I felt him press against me, his hands exploring the curve of my back, while my own hands roamed his chest, feeling the taut muscles beneath his shirt. We moved toward the chairs near the window, the city lights casting a soft glow across our skin. The night stretched around us, filled with whispered confessions, soft moans, and the thrill of being alone together in a world that suddenly felt made just for us. "Every time I look at you," Daniel murmured, brushing his lips along my jaw, "I feel like I've known you forever, and yet, like I'm discovering you for the first time." His words sent a shiver down my spine. "I feel the same," I breathed, my hands gripping his shoulders as he pulled me closer. "It's intense. I've never felt anything like this before." Time lost all meaning as we surrendered to the night, exploring each other with a mix of passion and tenderness. Each kiss, each touch, deepened our connection, blending desire with intimacy in a way that left me dizzy with longing. When we finally pulled back, breathless and flushed, I rested my forehead against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "I don't want this to be just a moment," I confessed. "Neither do I," he said softly, lifting my chin to meet his gaze. "I want more. I want us." And in that quiet office, with the city lights shimmering around us, I realized that what had started as a late-night confession had grown into something far greater, a bond of desire, intimacy, and emotion that neither of us wanted to let go. For the first time in years, I felt truly alive. And with Daniel by my side, I knew the nights of stolen touches and whispered confessions were only the beginning of a story that would burn hot, deep, and unforgettable.